Hey, how y'all doing? Rashad the Great here, and I want to come to you to ask you and to tell you rather 5 biggest mistakes that I made with finances. I've made pretty much almost every mistake in the book, so this video would be 5 mistakes that I made with finances. So without any particular order, but we're just gonna go for it. I wrote it down. Number one, the biggest mistake I made was getting into debt. When I first got 18, I I got a credit card because my credit was like 500 when I first got my mom's house, and so I got a credit card. What most people do. I lost the credit card for maybe half of all of 3 months. Lost the credit card. Now back then it was no social media hardly. It was Facebook was still new, things of that nature. It was a while back, over a decade ago. And so I lost it, had to pay $300 for my credit card, and for losing my credit card because I barely had a cell phone, smartphones was still, new back then. So I didn't have a way to notify my bank, and I didn't think of, I didn't have a card to go up to the bank and notify them. So just being young and making money mistakes. But not only was it credit card debt, I also have student loans. So even though I did have a scholarship, wasn't enough to fully have my full tuition. So I had to get student loans. Also, I waited till I graduated, but I got a car debt. But my first car, my dad paid it, so he was gonna try to build my credit up. And so it really wasn't my debt to have, so I never even had to worry about it. And he did pay it off. But we'll talk more about that as we go into the video. The second mistake I believe that I did not do until maybe later on in life. Well, let's go back. The second mistake is when I was in college. Even though I was applying for internships, I wasn't aggressive about it. I wasn't applying every day. I was thinking that a degree, maybe an internship would be cool, but a degree was all you need to basically get your foot in the door and to get where you at. No, you need internships, you need a good GPA, you need a portfolio, you need to network, you need to pray, you need to do everything you need to do that you can think of and more to get the internship. It might not fall in your lap, you might not be that lucky. So if you're one of those persons, you got to do your work and you got to do your due diligence. So I was networking and doing those things, but I don't think I was aggressive. Definitely not as I am now. The fourth thing, or should I say the third thing? I would say the third thing is I got back into debt. In 2012, I saved up my dad's GI Bill money that he got transferred to me was the GI Bill. I transferred the GI Bill money and saved up my living stipend loans. 2011 was a great year because I saved up all my living stipend loans, paid $11,000, and I think at the time I only had 3 loans. So at the time I saved up all my money, didn't buy any books, didn't date, didn't do jack squat, and I boom put $11,000 on the table, and I was debt free in 2012. But I got back into debt in about 2014 when I went back to school. And I even though I got a scholarship to attend that school, it still wasn't enough to cover the full school again. So if you could get a full ride scholarship, multiple scholarships, work, don't go into debt for no reason. No matter what nobody tells you, please do not go into debt for any reason. My fourth biggest mistake. Where are we at? Number 1 was debt. Number 2 was going back into debt, and number 3 is aggressive. Number 1, going into debt. Number 2, aggressive, not being aggressive enough for internship, or number 3, back into debt. My number four biggest mistake was budgeting. I never did I mean, I think I had mint.com for for about 5 years or so now. I've been using it for a long time. But while I was in school, I was not using any budgeting apps, wasn't using Excel spreadsheets, didn't even know about any budgeting apps, didn't even think about any budgeting apps, and I did not budget, I did not follow a budget. And that's the four biggest budgeting mistakes the four biggest money mistakes that I made in my entire life. Especially these was usually in my late teens to early mid 20s. So you're talking about anything from 18 to when I start really getting serious about finances was at 28. So with that being said, there's also, speaking of budgets, there's one mistake that I continue to make to this day with my budget. I'm usually pretty good about setting my budgets, and the only time that I go over my budget is if I am trying to overpay on my student loans. But the only thing that I do that doesn't go along with my budget is food. I try to set aside $500, $300 for groceries, $100 for fast food, $100 for restaurants. I'm starting to cut that down to $300 for groceries and $100 for restaurants, and then I'm trying not to do any fast food at all whatsoever, especially since we're just coming out of a pandemic, or we're still in a pandemic, depending on whatever your definition is. Fast food is horrible for your health and your strength and your mental awareness. I mean, your mental acuity and your mental health. So we're trying to get away from the fast food. And if we're going to go out, we're going to go out restaurants. I'm going to still try to do coupon codes, anything that I have, specials, things of that nature, special nights, special food nights, things of that nature. But yeah, food is the one biggest struggle. I go over my budget. Everything else, it's the same bills every month. Phone bill, I paid that off since April. Health insurance, everything is the same. But that food bill, it just seems like no matter what, I'm spending $500 in food, and even then, I feel like I don't eat enough. Also, I must say that I am a bodybuilder. I am a natural bodybuilder. Some may not know that about me. So by being a natural bodybuilder, I do have to eat more than the average person so I can keep my size and keep my weight. But but the good thing about it, most people are not bodybuilders and most people are obese. So therefore, the best thing to do not only is getting debt free, it's going to be good for your future, but it's going to be good for your health. Why? Because you're spending less money on food so you can get out of debt faster. So that's going to make you richer and increase your net worth by getting out of debt. Also, by eating less food, you're going to be skinnier and you're going to weigh less, which is going to help your obesity and your health problems and your chronic health issues. So, it all, the wealthy people live the longest. Wealthy people are usually the healthiest because they have access to whole foods and they have access to fruits and vegetables, and they don't live in food deserts and things of that nature. So if you want to help out not just your bank account, but if you want to also help out your health and your mental awareness and your mental acuity and your mental health, because mental health is big right now, the first thing you're going to want to do is reduce your debt. And most people don't talk about the wage, the correlation between your health and your wealth. People don't want to talk about that. But it was a study, you can look it up in menshealth.com, that said, basically, if you're stressed about money, it's going to affect everything about your life. It's going to affect your heart health. So that's why I'm so passionate about being debt free, being rich, being generational wealth. I don't care if only 20% of the country is debt free. That it could be 30%. You can increase the odds. Worry about yourself. Don't worry about everybody else. Make sure you debt free. Make sure your kids are rich kids. Make sure you leave a will for your kids and things of that nature. But this video is already long enough, and my next video I will talk about the 5 mistakes, or the top mistakes that I didn't make, that I never made in my life financially. So that should be a good video as well. Hopefully y'all enjoy it. Rashad the Great. Like, comment, and subscribe, and turn your notifications on. Have a great day.